Hey, good morning, everybody. Uneducated economist here. Got a great article for you guys. Something about manufacturers could soon face demand woes. Something like that. Coming out of the Wall Street Journal. Great article. Goes very much in line with what I've been saying, that the demand for goods is dropping and it's dropping fast. The demand for services, like going out and hanging out at restaurants or going and on vacation or doing things that are more on the lines of experiences as opposed to things that are going to make your condition of being at home better. So things like furniture, things like cookware, things like TVs, those are not going to be in high demand in going into the near future. The experiences will, because people are ready to get out and get moving again. And that's a lot of what this article is saying. And now you give it some time and you're going to see inflation top out. Not maybe on a lot of things that are tied to, like, say, fuel and food and stuff like that. But you're going to see things like TVs and cars and stuff like that. The inflation that has hit those, the price inflation, you're going to see that cap out, and you're probably going to see it dramatically fall, especially on things that you have to take out loans for, like new cars. Those type of items with the higher interest rates are certainly going to bring the asset price increases to a standstill. If not, it's going to start bringing them down, especially if people start selling off their assets to pay for their debts, and like they start getting into liquidity crunches or debt crisis where there's just no longer available credit going out there flowing through the system, and that starts making it more difficult on everybody. Now, a lot of times when we look at the news or we see the data that's coming out, it's not it's not exactly like it's not exactly clear, because a lot of times you'll find things on percentages, like you'll 28% increase in something. Well, if you had, a 75% decrease, then 28% increase really isn't that much. You have to think about, like, where is it that these numbers are being based from? Um, for example, uh, I work retail for a living, so a lot of people know this. I do retail sales at a hardware store. I sell lumber and stuff like that, and we get inventory twice a week, and you have what's called the A item list. And on this A item list, there might have been, I can't remember exactly. I don't do the ordering for that part of the store, but we're just going to pull a number like 150 items on this A item list. And prior to the pandemic, you would get like 97, 98%, fulfillment on the orders. So like everything you ordered would come in. Occasionally you would find a back order coming in. Well, after the pandemic, that dropped all the way down to like 11%. And so you're getting in like, you know, 40 items, 30, 40 items, as opposed to 150. And so what ends up happening is that as this continues, right, because it's a computer algorithm, noticing that there is no longer purchases of these particular A items happening because you're not getting them in, but the computer doesn't really recognize it as a inventory or a lack of supply problem, but just a lack of sale problem. It falls off of that A item list. So now, instead of having 150 items on your A item list, you only have 100 items on your A item list. You see what's happened here? And now when you get your 30 items in, you have a 30% fulfillment rate. All of a sudden, it seems like you're doing a lot better than you really are. Not because you're getting more inventory in, it seems like it because of a percentage basis. But really, it's because a lot of the items that were on that list have simply fallen off. And I've seen this happen with other companies. They will, like, you'll see them run for under a particular name for a few years, and then like all of a sudden, like maybe a recession or a downturn or something happens, and they will drop all the lower items, like the 20% of the non-selling items. They'll just get rid of that inventory completely, so that the inventory that they do have is a more of a revolving inventory, right? More profit involved with it. Well, give it a few more years, the next time they have a downturn or they're feeling like they need to cut some of the dead weight, they end up doing that again. Cut the less 20%, the bottom 20% of the items that just don't sell. And then pretty soon you have less and less inventory, and then you can't really sell from an empty cart, and you end up going out of business. And I've seen this actually happen with companies as well, as they try to deplete their inventory to just the items that sell. But then you realize that if you're not reaching all the way out there, like, you have to have all the items. Like, if you want to sell all the A items, then you have to reach out there past that and get all the way to the point that you start finding the items that are not going to sell, and you want to try and operate somewhere right around in that. But the profit really is, it's like, back there a little ways from that. But if you keep cutting away from it, pretty soon you just don't have anything to sell anymore, even though it looks like you have a full, like, inventory or successive, like, revolving inventory. You just don't have as much of it for sale, and then your profits go down as well. These are the type of things that can occur. And so I'm watching out for those kind of things. We're going to find where, the low inventory levels that people are talking about right now, that's going to reverse. There's going to come a time when those inventory levels are going to start rising. Just much like the story that we heard about from the solar panels coming out of Australia, where, this huge demand for solar panels was coming in. Everybody ordered them. Because of the lack of availability, they over-ordered. Because they were being allocated against, they over-ordered even more. And pretty soon all these solar panels come in, and now the people who have these panels are like, man, we can't be sitting on all this inventory, and they're selling them for less than what they paid for them, just simply to clear out the inventory if they can. And we're going to find that happening more and more as time goes on. So I wanted to share that article with you guys. It's happening, if a lot of people ask me all the time, it's like, what do I do about this, right? And everybody's in a different position. Like, nobody is in the same, like, you're not going to be in the same position I am, and what I do is going to be different from what you're going to need to do. If you're 18 years old, you're going to be making much different decisions than if you're 80 years old trying to figure out how to secure your wealth, so that the remaining years that you have aren't, you're not trying to hold on to every penny so to make sure that you can make it through it all. That's like, two completely different scenarios. I mean, honestly, with what's coming, I would get a job in like if you're just an average person with like no money or whatever, you're like, man, I'm just a regular guy out here working. What do I do? I don't know. Like, man, get a job at like a grocery store. Like, because there's going to be food shortages coming, and if you work at a grocery store, you have first access to the food, so you're going to know the things that go on sale first. You're going to see the items that come in first. You're going to see the things that getting depleted first, and so therefore you're going to probably be the first one to have access to that food. And if you're concerned about food shortages coming, that's where I would go to. Either that or a really good restaurant, like a restaurant that is definitely going to make it through. And you go work where the food is. I mean, that's where you go. Outside of that, it's a matter of figuring out a way to save emergency funds, collecting silver for an insurance policy. And then when it comes to investing, everybody's got to figure out what it is that they know deep down inside is going to do well into the future. I mean, I wouldn't invest just because somebody on TV said it. I would invest in something that something that you understand. And the best place to go is probably invest in yourself with as much knowledge as you can possibly gather from it, right? I mean, we did a video on it not too long ago. Those who study economics make the most money. All right, uneducated economist, you guys let me know.